This is A Seat at the Table, and I'm your host today, Tyner Rand. A Seat at the Table is where we're rolling out talks with leaders in the community who advocate change, talk about things that impact community business, community, and we provide answers. Taking a seat at the table today is Dr. Artika Tyner, a passionate educator, author, sought-after speaker, and advocate for justice. Dr. Tyner is a law professor at the University of St. Thomas School of Law, and she is committed to training students to advocate justice and change in our community. As an author, Dr. Tyner has written a host of books on the social change movement, as well as reimagining education, reimagining the very essence of leadership. But today we're talking with Dr. Tyner about her Planting People Growing Justice Institute and their Leaders and Readers program, which promotes literacy and learning along with diversity. The Leaders and Readers program has been nationally recognized and received highly coveted Anthem Award for its social impact. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Tyner to A Seat at the Table. How are you doing today?
Very well. Honored to be here. Thank you.
As always, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. You always bring a breadth of information about social justice, about literacy. But today we're focusing on something that I think that's near and dear to your heart. And can you tell us what it is? That is, what is Planting People Growing Justice Institute and what is the mission behind it?
We were founded in 2017, and literally in 2014, we started to plant those seeds of social change. A group of my friends and I and community leaders came together in my own living room. We started to talk about many of the challenges that our communities face. But oftentimes those challenges, we just stopped the conversation there with identifying what they are. And I kept pressing that evening on how can we create solutions. One of the common pieces that we would have been remiss not to focus on was mass incarceration, because it impacted everyone, either a family member, themselves personally, but more broadly, the community. And one of the things that we started to talk about was the correlation or connection between incarceration and illiteracy. And we thought if there was one way, because I oftentimes talk about mass incarceration as this tangled web with far too many entry points and far less exit points. So if we could create a type of pathway to success to help avoid some of those impasses and roadblocks in mass incarceration, we were all in. Everyone said, sign me up. And that's when we decided to focus on literacy in particular, because many of my clients learn how to read while in prison. In addition to that, 1 in 4 American children are not reading at grade level by 4th grade. If you're not reading at grade level by 4th grade, you are 4 times more likely to drop out of school. And here's the connection to the criminal justice system. You're 3.5 times more likely to be arrested during your lifetime. 85% of the young people in the juvenile justice system cannot read, 60 to 80% of the adult population. So when we were talking about literacy, we were talking about creating change. We were talking about building stronger communities, not just around mass incarceration, but around civic engagement, around leadership, career pathways. So we knew that we had to do more in real time. We couldn't wait on the schools. We couldn't wait on government officials. It was our time as community members to lead change.
Oh, wow, that's heavy. So what are some of the things that you all have done, since you're not waiting on the school, yet you're still focusing on the community? What are a few things that you've done so far that you feel that you've been able to impact the community?
In real time, we reached the milestone of donating over 10,000 books to children, schools, and libraries and community organizations. What that meant is that we were also intentional about the second portion of our work, which is diversity in books, because we know where we sit today, less than 10% of books are written by diverse authors or feature a diverse character. So that meant that not only were we going to spark the interest of reading, we had to create reading motivation. And what better way to do that than to create those mirrors, where a young woman, I just received a message from this past weekend. She looked at the cover of our justice book, which is behind me, and said, that's me. She came yelling, that's me, on the cover of that book, because she saw a mirror of herself, a positive representation on the pages of books, which is essential. You're more likely to see a book on the cover with a black bear or a black dog than a black boy or a black girl. I just was at the Boys and Girls Club, And a young person said, well, all I saw growing up were books about peanut butter and jelly, monkeys, pizza. No, no, no. We are creating the books as well and getting them in the hands of children that reflect the beautiful multicultural tapestry of America, as Dr. Maya Angelou described it. No thread is greater than the other. We come together and we are the whole. So we're also radically transforming the publishing industry by making the demand that we want the books that reflect the children of America, and not just those mirrors for children of color, but also those windows for all children to learn about cultural diversity in real time. So I am proud of that being a great accomplishment, because before a lot of the conversation started about diversity in books, we were there over a decade ago making the demand that the books truly have to reflect the children to get that spark and that motivation to read. So I am proud of that. I'm also proud of the fact that, yes, we're a Minnesota-based organization, but we've gone all across the nation. In addition to that, we've also promoted diversity in books and literacy all around the world. So when I think about our work, it's more than just what we're doing through our nonprofit individually and collectively. We're doing movement building. We're raising awareness about the power of reading, but at the same time, challenging the reading crisis that is occurring in real time, and also inspiring everyday people to lead their own change, that ordinary people can have an extraordinary impact. If they're willing to roll up their sleeves, they don't have to wait for someone to tell them how to solve an issue. The solutions are within us.
Amen. I like that. That's so true. So let's put a pin right there for a second. How did all of this begin? Where did Dr. Tyner get this vision to plant this seed of literacy, even writing your books? What was kind of a trigger point?
I would say everything for me starts right here in my community. I still live and work in the Rondo community. And if you're not familiar with the Rondo community is similar to over 1,000 other communities, communities of color in particular, across the United States, that we were the victims of racial removal with the infrastructure system that came with the Federal Highway Act. So all of a sudden in 1956, you see a dramatic change within communities of color, that the freeway systems, yes, they needed to advance. Yes, we needed better coordinated transportation. But yes, at the same time, we needed community impact and to be able to hear the voices of the community and assess the impact in real time. And unfortunately, you see it as a clear issue that communities of color were disproportionately impacted. And what that meant for us, not only did we lose our land, we lost our land through the power of the law, of course, through eminent domain. Were we paid our fair market values? Of course not. Were we able to rebuild that wealth? Of course not. So for me, I feel that was in my DNA. That was truly a calling, because my family migrated here, the possibility of hope and dream for the future, but unfortunately still has not been realized, because at its peak, Rondo in the 1950s had over 400 Black-owned businesses. There are less than a dozen today. So we lost that economic hub. So for me, what makes me Dr. Tyner, what made me a civil rights attorney, what made me passionate about helping to address and solve issues in the community is that community organizer chant, got voice, got power. Because oftentimes those who feel that their voice is not heard, those that have been pressed on the side and their issues can't get to the center of political agendas, can't get to the center of the private sector, their voices aren't heard. So I feel that I've been blessed to have the opportunity, the legal training, the technical competence, all the skills to be able to advocate, to say we are here, our voices will be heard, and justice is the order of the day.
Awesome. Yeah, you're right. Communities have been impacted. We can just name any city, large or small, and how they've been impacted. Communities broken up. We've seen over since 2020, we've seen everything from Black Wall Street and, Tulsa, Greenwood, and there are a host of other cities around the country who have been impacted from all the economic power we had. And now we're so interdependent upon someone else for our livelihood, when we have so much power within our own community, So I do admire you for what you're doing, because you're trying to plant seeds, as you say, and that's all what it takes, is to plant a seed. Once a seed grows, one seed can harvest multiple fruit from the harvest, but it just has to be planted first. So what's your vision? Tell me the vision. You talked a little bit about about the Institute. So what is your overall vision as a leader? How do you see yourself as a leader?
As a leader, I lean into my skills and my passion and vocation around education. My
Mhm.
leadership only goes as far as the students and the community members that I help to teach and support in real time. So when I think about leadership, I don't think about the traditional way that leadership scholars describe it as like this pyramid, someone with power, someone with a title. I really think it's time to redefine leadership. That leadership is about what we all can build collectively if we have a shared vision. So
Mhm.
oftentimes when I think about my work and the most important piece of it, it's about teaching the skills, for instance, on how to do legal research, on public policy advocacy in real time, because then that reach, as you described, planting that seed, that harvest isn't just then about me, it's about everyone else who's gained the skills. And I oftentimes tell people, I don't, because people are, well, you did all this work. Should you receive compensation? Should you receive these things? No, all I need is for you then to teach someone else. For instance, I'm mentoring new children's book authors. I don't need anything from them. All I need them to do is now take the tools that I provided them with and teach somebody else. So that's all. It's a ripple effect for me. So my leadership vision is that more people will build that capacity to share our gifts and talents, to share our resources, our platforms, and especially to share our financial resources. Because oftentimes I give my students a challenge. The African diaspora is nearly 1.4 billion strong. If we came together and donated just $1 a day, we could
Wow.
impact and change the whole diaspora in real time. So I remember there's some students in the hallway saying they're facing microaggressions, discrimination, all those things. I said, okay, I understand that. And I'll work to address those issues. But what I want you to be mindful of, and this is my leadership vision, because I wanted to transfer that vision onto them, is that you have more power than what you believe. When you look at the African American community in the United States alone, over $1 trillion of buying power, what can we do with it collectively? How can we share information and knowledge? Are there new opportunities, whether it's related to cryptocurrency, new ways to invest, new pathways for success? I don't know what they are, but I sure hope that my vision inspires people to start asking the questions and what we can do to lead change. No one's coming for us. There's not a superhero coming out of the sky. Those superheroes are really you and I. So my leadership vision is first to inspire, then of course to motivate, because like Mandela said, it's a long walk to freedom. So I have to keep people motivated to keep taking the steps. And then from there, I hope to see, and I oftentimes tell my students this, I want to work for them. And they think I'm joking. I'm like, no, I want to be the person that helps to support your vision come alive. And I had the greatest blessing to have one student that I could work with in particular to help elevate the work that she was doing in real time. So for me, my vision is not about an individual. It's about the collective of the African diaspora. It's about the collective of humanity and making an impact in real time.
Wow. I hear passion. I hear a lot of passion. And with that, from your passion and what you've already said and what you're doing through the Institute, can you name 3 impactful initiatives that you and or the organization has had on society so far?
Yes, I would say the first one that I'm very proud of is that we produced a documentary about Ghana in honor of the year of return, that we were able to bring our community elders from Rondo back to Ghana, to return back to those cultural roots, to be reminded of what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, that I'm not African because I was born in Africa, because it was born in me. So we wanted to have those hands-on experiences for people to have that cultural renewal and sense of purpose. So we did produce a documentary, and why I'm so proud of that, it means that everyone can join us on the journey. They can see the places that we went. They can see our king, Odenigbo Koto III, and hear his inspiration and his vision around leadership. So that would be the first thing that I'm proud of, because it tears down all the barriers. A lot of people have commentaries and different things that they believe that they understand about Africa, but the richness of the continent is still untold. So for me, I was excited because then it meant the community elders and community members could go back and share that same passion, tap back into our cultural roots, and build connections across the globe. I'm also excited about a young man named Zephaniah Martin. We did a writing competition and he was our winner for a Kwanzaa themed book. So he wrote Jahim's First Kwanzaa. And why I'm so excited for him, that's the hope for the future. That 10-year-old Zephaniah Martin could put pen to paper and tell a story that could help to inspire everyone in a movement around Kwanzaa 365. What can we do in the community to bring for our interconnectedness, cooperative economics, and what better way to hear it is through a voice of a child. So that was dramatically different. Most children's books we know are written by adults, but now we're training and inspiring young people to write their own stories. And the next phase of our work is to train the young people to be the artists that also illustrate the stories as well.
Wow.
Last but not least, I'm excited in the midst of COVID and the aftermath of the murder of Mr. Floyd and what many call the racial reckoning, all these words that we give something that was long overdue, a call to end racial injustice in America. We partnered with an interior design company called Lilu Interiors, and the founder is Lisa Peck. And we created a community space called Aya's Place, where we come together as a community to help deliberate, to help to create and reimagine the future in real time. So we created a cultural hub where people can come together, develop their skills as artists and writers to be impactful. We didn't have that space before. And we know if we want to create great synergy and change, we need to bring the creative minds together in real time. So those are just a few of the things we're excited about.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Now you mentioned a few things, and this is a good place for us to kind of segue. Where can they find the documentary, and where is the book available? Jakeem's First Kwanzaa.
All of the resources you can find on our website for Planting People Growing Justice, which is ppgjli.org. So short for Planting People Growing Justice Leadership Organization, that's us. So under the Ghana tab, you can find the documentary. And then under the What We Do tab, you can see all of our initiatives and have all the information about Jakeem's First Kwanzaa as well.
Awesome. What exciting. That we definitely need to do a story on what's the young brother's name again?
Zephaniah Martin.
Zephaniah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. 10 years old, wrote his first book.
Let me clarify, because he stopped me in my tracks as well. I said the same thing. He said, no, he's written many books. So now we have to be ready. I know. He corrected me as well. So Zephaniah, and I have to tell this quick story about when his book was released. I also had a book released about Kwanzaa. Literally, Zephaniah got all the book awards, and he earned it with a powerful book that really, through
Awesome.
a child's eyes, talked about the importance of the principles of Kwanzaa.
That's awesome. Yeah, we definitely need it. Those are the type of stories that we also need to edify. Everything you say is on par. But then how and when can we lift and edify a young person who has stepped into a realm that is, as you say, typically unheard of or unseen as a child writing a book about children? Because it's always through the lens of an adult versus the lens of the child.
Yes, we plan on doing more with our writing competitions. The other writing competition that was very exciting, in honor of Dr. King Day, we did a writing competition in partnership with our twins, our Minnesota Twins, our baseball team. And we announced the winners on Jackie Robinson Day. But it was powerful to see young people describe how they could live out Dr. King's dream and how they could serve as drum majors for justice. So we're really trying to inspire young people from the very beginning to start shaping the future by writing their stories.
Wow. What legacy do you want Planting People Growing Justice to leave on society?
The legacy that I want them to leave is writing our name. That Planting People is really about everyday people leading their own change, building the capacity at the grassroots level to initiate whatever change they want to see in the world. And then the growing justice is the collective piece of people coming together, and that's the manifestation of the work that we're going to, and this is the other piece, we're going to keep our hands on the plow. Because oftentimes we think that social justice work is just something you put in the microwave. Racial justice, we heat it on high for 1 minute, boom, it's done. But the legacy of the work also requires dedication. So long after I'm gone, I hope the vision is that everyday people come together, block by block, city by city, state by state, and they come together to create and reimagine the future, and not just sit there as a luxury, to say, okay, I've admired the problem and I have just some ideas. But the growing justice is the commitment to make a change. And it's a different type of ecosystem. In fact, if you look at our logo, it's of the banyan tree. And it's one of the only trees that grows new roots from its branches. That acknowledges a few things, that we're all interconnected, that no one's leadership is greater than the other person's, but that we all come together, and it's a whole life cycle on how we build change together.
August is a special month. This month is dedicated to Black Philanthropy Month. What is Black philanthropy and what does it mean to you?
It means Ujamaa, this idea of cooperative economics, that we can really come together, not just because we know it's also Black Business Month. So we, of course, have to come together and support our local Black-owned businesses. But in addition to that, Black philanthropy gives us an invitation to say, how do we make our social systems work? How do we provide support to our brothers and sisters in need? How do we build new pathways to success? How do we invest in our children? All the work that we're doing through Planting People, Growing Justice. But August being Black Philanthropy Month gives us an invitation not to do this work in isolation, just with folks who work as a part of our team and our supporters. And we call each other family, that are part of the Planting People, Growing Justice family. But this month gives us an invitation to connect with new family members. If you're interested in literacy, if you're interested in wanting to support children in real time, learning about the work and getting involved. So Black philanthropy to me is one, vitally important. It's what will make the difference between our social systems and our community working together hand in hand. And it's about making an investment that will yield residual impact. For instance, if we invest in a book in the hands of a child, we're not investing just for today, we're investing for tomorrow. So Black philanthropy is about you and I and the community coming together to say that we can build the type of social system and ecosystem that works for our community. And why is that important? Because no matter where I am in the nation, I travel all across the nation to lecture and teach, we have the same dilemma, disproportionately impacted by the criminal justice system, healthcare disparities. I was just in a city, I saw 2 animal hospitals, but not 1 hospital for people in that community who may need help. So you would have to drive miles or even across state lines just to get basic medical care for the African-American community. So wherever we are, we see the disparities and we see the challenges, but through a Black ecosystem, Black-led nonprofits, we can take a narrowly tailored approach to addressing the needs of our community in real time.
Yes. Now, during Black Philanthropy Month, people are able to contribute to donate to your organization as well, right?
Yes, and we welcome the support. We're now running a pledge and asking people not only to make a commitment to plant those seeds of social change by promoting literacy and diversity in books, but we're asking you to join us. We're asking each person, join us with $10. $10 means we can get a book in the hands of a child. We can visit a school. In real time, we're asking for support. And we are grateful to the NBA power couple, Drew and Lauren Holliday, for joining in with us. They've given us a matching grant to match our donations during the month of August. So our goal is to get further faster. And our target is to raise $20,000 to ensure that we have 2,000 books in the hands of the children. But that, of course, we know that's not enough. It's a starting point because we want to get our books in the hands of children all across the nation in real time. So we're asking community members to support us. We're asking them to spread the word, get a match from their employer, share it at their church, their synagogue, their mosque, wherever they are, that we're going to come together and plant those seeds of social change, one book at a time, one school at a time, with one child at a time.
Awesome. Before we go, is there any last closing thoughts? What's next? What do you have on the radar besides the matching donations through your fundraiser? Is there anything else on the radar that we need to know about and get involved with?
Yes, you do. We want you to get involved in our work related to STEM. We know that STEM careers are growing faster than all careers combined at a rate of 3 times. We want our children to be prepared. Now, we know, once again, if it's not being provided at schools, that's not the only opportunity. We can provide learning opportunities right in the community in real time. So when I think about STEM, for me, I started off in every STEM program when I was a young person. And what that provided for me were those analytical, those critical thinking skills, those team building skills, communication. I lean on the skills that I used in the lab when I was younger in my day-to-day life, whether in the courtroom, testifying before the legislature. There's a core set of skills that we all can gain from STEM. But more importantly, if careers are changing in that pathway that rapidly, I don't want our children to be left behind. So there are a couple things that we're doing. We're producing a new STEM curriculum along with a series of children's books. And we're also taking this work global. We're building a STEM academy in the Akwamu region, the traditional land, in Ghana as well, because we want to make sure that once again, that we're connecting across the African diaspora, and the children in Africa, in particular in Ghana, was where we're starting, have access to these same materials and resources as well.
That is awesome. How can people get in contact with you? Through your organization, as well as being able to donate to your fundraiser?
Yes, please visit our website. It is ppgjli.org. Follow us on social media. We have a presence on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter, and you can find out more information about what's happening in real time, and more importantly, how you can join us in planting those seeds.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with Dr. Artika Tyner. She has informed us on some very relevant information about education, literacy, that I think will impact us in a great way. So if you have children, grandchildren, friends, neighbors, this is the time that the village needs to come together. How can we help the next generation to become great, productive citizens? And more importantly, be able to read and articulate in a way that so often we fail not to do. Thank you for being a part of A Seat at the Table. It is always a pleasure to talk with you. Much success. May God continue to bless everything that you touch, and much success with the organization.